The U.S. has become entangled in a regional escalation pattern between Iran and Israel. Iranian-backed militants conducted a kamikaze drone attack on U.S. forces in northeastern Syria, killing one American on March 23. Iran likely ordered the attack in retaliation for recent Israeli airstrikes on Iranian-backed targets in Syria. Israel has conducted several such strikes in recent days, including attacking Iranian-backed positions at Aleppo International Airport on March 22, as CTP previously reported. Senior Iranian military officers frequently threatened that they will hold the U.S. accountable for Israeli attacks in Syria. The drone attack triggered an escalation cycle between the U.S. and Iran, a timeline of which is presented here. 1. Iranian-backed militants conducted a kamikaze drone attack on a maintenance facility at a U.S. base near Hasaka in northeastern Syria on March 23. The attack killed an American contractor and injured 6 additional Americans. 2. The U.S. conducted airstrikes on at least 2 Iranian-backed militant positions in eastern Syria on March 23 in retaliation for the drone attack. Some outlets have circulated unconfirmed claims that the U.S. killed 11 Iranian-backed militants in the airstrikes. 3. Likely Iranian-backed militants conducted a rocket attack on the U.S. base at the Green Village base in eastern Syria on March 24, likely in retaliation for the U.S. airstrikes. The militants used 10 rockets in the attack but did not damage or injure U.S. assets and personnel. 4. Social media and Syrian outlets reported additional Iranian-backed attacks on U.S. forces using drones, rockets, or both in the evening of March 24. This situation is developing at the time of this writing. CTP will provide further information in future updates. These Iranian actions suggest that Tehran is prioritizing its military efforts in Syria over its simultaneous diplomatic and political efforts in Syria. Iran has sought to consolidate its military position around Aleppo and moving weapons into Syria in recent weeks, using aid sent after the February 6 earthquake as cover, as CTP previously reported. Iran has simultaneously encouraged the Assad regime in recent weeks to repair its ties with regional states, such as Saudi Arabia, which would move Syria closer to normalizing its position in the region. Doing so, in turn, would provide the IRGC an opportunity to secure lucrative contracts for reconstruction projects in Syria at a time when Iran is facing rapidly worsening economic conditions domestically. Tehran's continued efforts to entrench itself militarily in Syria and its escalations against the U.S. and Israel risk destabilizing Syria and undermining any diplomatic effort to normalize Assad's position in the region. Calm Friday prayer leader Mohammed Saidi captured this point on March 24, stating that diplomacy with the Gulf states will not end Iranian support for the axis of resistance. The U.S. airstrikes on March 23 are insufficient to deter Iran from conducting further attacks against U.S. forces in the region, especially in Syria. The Iranian attacks on March 24 demonstrate that Tehran remains willing to order its proxies to conduct attacks that risk killing Americans in the region. Tehran has furthermore demonstrated that it is willing to risk the assets and personnel that it has brought into Syria to achieve its military aims, despite repeated Israeli airstrikes in recent weeks. This persistence suggests the American and Israeli airstrikes have not yet imposed a high enough cost on the regime. Prominent Sunni cleric Maulana Abdul Hamid on March 24 emphasized Iran is facing an economic crisis and requires political reform in refuting the main arguments that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei made in his Nowruz address. Abdul Hamid stated that the problem of the country is not just the economy and bread, the problems of the country are political problems. This statement violates the implicit order Khamenei gave in his Nowruz speech on March 21st to cease discussions of political challenges and focus on the economy. It also inverts Khamenei's argument that addressing economic problems will solve Iran's political and cultural issues by asserting that political problems are, in fact, the cause of Iran's economic crisis. Abd-al-Hamid furthermore stated that Iran's economic problems are partially attributable to corruption, a possible criticism of the regime's focus on controlling inflation and increasing production as the keys to improving Iran's economic health. Abd-al-Hamid's challenge to Khamenei's Nowruz address is anomalous in a country where the supreme leader's words are regarded as written in stone. Abd-al-Hamid's decision to cross Khamenei's red line and explicitly discuss political issues underscores that he does not intend to back down from his criticisms of the regime. Abd-al-Hamid additionally challenged the regime narrative that Iran is a true democracy. He stated that most elections in Iran have been appointments rather than true elections, and that the Guardian Council, the regime body tasked with vetting and approving political candidates, only allows the public to vote for presidential candidates who don't have the ability to run the country. Regime officials and media often portray elections as proof that Iran is a true democracy. They additionally frame participation in elections as evidence of the public's continued support for the Islamic Republic. Abd-al-Hamid may have challenged the regime's claims about Iranian democracy in his sermon because Khamenei specifically described Iran as an Islamic democratic system in his Nowruz speech. Abd-al-Hamid's criticism of the Guardian Council may be testing the red lines about constitutional reform that Khamenei said in his Nowruz address. Article 99 of the Iranian Constitution tasks the Guardian Council with supervising elections. Abd-al-Hamid may have been calling on the Guardian Council to increase the number of candidates it allows to participate in elections, in which case a constitutional amendment would not be necessary. He may have contrastingly been calling for the elimination of the Guardian Council, which would require constitutional change. Khamenei implied on March 21st that those who call for constitutional change are counter-revolutionaries, as CTP previously reported. Regardless of Abd-al-Hamid's intention, criticizing an institution whose duties are ingrained in the Iranian constitution immediately after Khamenei shut down debates about constitutional change underscores that Abd-al-Hamid will likely continue to challenge the principles and values underpinning the Islamic Republic. Abd-al-Hamid may perceive that he has more room to not only criticize the regime in general, but also confront Khamenei more directly, due to decreased securitization in Zahedan, Sistan, and Baluchistan province in recent weeks. CTP recorded increased securitization in Zahedan on February 24th and March 3rd. Security forces have been less noticeable and confrontational during weekly Friday protests in Zahedan since March 3rd, however. This de-escalation may be emboldening Abd-al-Hamid further and encourage additional verbal attacks on Khamenei and the regime in the weeks ahead. That's all for today's updates from the Institute for the Study of War. We hope that you found our reporting informative and valuable. Our goal is to bring you the latest news and analysis so that you can stay informed and make sense of the complex issues affecting the region. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for daily updates. By doing so, you'll never miss an update, and you'll be helping us to grow and bring you even more valuable content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.